using the Google Doc?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Joy created a link for us to sign in.
Okay.
So I emailed a link for the Google Doc sign in, and then I also emailed the presentation. And today, we won't do the full hour meeting. This will be a short meeting to kind of add on to some things that we looked at the last time, and then we'll add in a piece of POC information.
When I click to find for the presentation, I get this. I don't know if it's.
Both of you got not found?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it public. I'll make myself a note to make sure I made it public.
Okay.
Were you able to see the one from last week, Lauren?
I think so. Yeah, I thought you, yes, absolutely.
Okay. I may not have made it public,
Okay.
so I'll check for that and make sure I send that out as soon as we finish today. But just kind of recap of what we looked at the last time. The top portion is just looking a little bit deeper into what PLCs are. And those 3 questions listed there are things that we are focusing on. How will we respond when a student experiences difficulty learning? This statement separates learning communities from traditional schools. So when we look at the traditional school versus a school who's implementing PLCs, we're looking at that next step. We've got those 4 questions that's posted that we're working on, but what are we doing for that next step? So if we're not doing anything for that next step when the students aren't learning, then we fall back into the range of being a traditional school. So we're moving to being a PLC school. So we're gonna look at an article that'll give us 2 different scenarios. So we won't read the whole article. No, man, you'll need the link. Maybe I'll just display it up here. That's not done. But there's 2 different schools that are referenced in the article that's in educational leadership, titled What is a Professional Learning Community? So I wanted us to kind of just zero in on those 2 schools. And since you can't access the link, let me just go full screen here. Okay, so the paragraph that starts with here's a scenario, this gives an idea of what happens in a typical traditional school who's not focusing on POCs. So we'll just kind of read those first 3 paragraphs and then we'll slide down to the next one. paragraph that starts with the systematic timely. Okay, so in looking at the traditional schools who aren't focusing on being a professional learning community, and then looking at a school that is focusing on being a professional learning community, what are some of the differences that you noticed that jumped out?
I think with the one that's looking at, the one that has a PLC, it's more student driven, making sure that all kids are successful. And even looking at that last paragraph about the high school where the kids, because of that, the kids are receiving their progress monitoring reports. They know where they are at all times, and it's never a surprise to the parents nor the students throughout the school year, versus one who doesn't use it, they just keep going, and you never know where a kid is. Cause you never have that discussion in between.
Mm-hmm. And then looking at that first chunk that talks about the traditional school, it makes me think about days of old where we did the maybe a pre-test in the beginning, we did our teaching, then we did a post-test, we basically pushed it on to the side, and then you went on with the next standard that was on your curriculum guide because you felt that need or that push to continue. But several key things jumped out as I was looking at that. Number one, the timeliness of it, and then the being quick with it.
Right.
And I feel like now that we even know more about, as we're into doing the Ames Web assessments, now that we know more about the intervention pieces that I didn't realize that were there, and the progress monitoring piece that's available, I think that will allow us to move a lot quicker. And even with the system that Ms. Brown has in place, with the 2 weeks teaching and the week spiral, that allows us not to get to the end of the unit and then say, oh, they didn't get it. So that helps us with that timely portion that we kind of need to make sure we're focusing on. Something else that kind of jumped out was the community. It talked, like you were saying, the students knew where they were, the ones who were lagging behind. It may be the school counselor, it may be an advisor, but that goes back to what we looked at our very first PLC session. Is the whole community, it's the whole team, it's a collective effort. It's not the teachers going in their room, closing their doors, they're isolated, they're coming up with their own plan, but they're talking as a grade level, they're working as a grade level. Okay, anything else about? Let me go right back to the presentation. The last time we talked about some possible remedies that we could use, and we looked at some of the strategies that we already have in place. We looked at number talk, we looked at problem of the day, making sure that the teachers are adding in the manipulatives. We looked at guided math, making sure that the teachers have the manipulatives in place. And we also set the SMART goals. We set the SMART goals of what we wanted to see in each one of those areas, the percentages of success that we wanted to see in those areas, who would be responsible for these portions, and then we also set a date that we would check back in on March the 1st. But I sent the email out last night to say that I kind of jumped the gun. So we are supposed to have these discussions and start looking at the interventions, but I won't turn in like the official action plan until this weekend. And then once my professor approves it, then I'll come back with a full-fledged action plan to see if our team approves it. So what we've done in the past 3 weeks has led us up and set us up that we'll be well prepared for the next meeting that we have. The one piece that I didn't include in the last week's discussion was the online piece. So I have to have both online resources or remedies, and traditional paper pencil. So today I just added to the keynote some of the online remedies or resources that we may consider using. And one would be Extra Math. That's something that's already available, it's free, it's online, the students are familiar with it. The teachers can get reports based on how the students are doing with their math fluency. So that's one online resource that I'll add to my paper and write about. The next one is Freckle, one that we just started. And I did email my professor a question if we could use Freckle, because the assignment says to use an online resource that's new. Freckle is new to us in the sense that we just had training maybe 3 weeks ago, and the teachers just started it, but I need to know, do you mean brand new that they've never seen or they've never touched before? So based on the reply that I get back from that email, it'll determine like where we go next steps. But I do feel like Freckle will be appropriate because they just had the training, they're just starting to implement it, and then we'll be checking to make sure that they're implementing it with fidelity if that's one of the pieces that we add to our SMART goals. So I'll get clarification on that about Freckle, whether it will be something that I can really use. And then Khan Academy, that's another free online resource that the teachers can use. Khan Academy includes videos, the teachers can get reports, they can target what the children will work on, specific needs based on their individual plans that they may have. And then another free resource would be Prodigy. Again, it's free, it's online, it's grades 1st through 8th. Kind of downside to that, it wouldn't be something we could implement with kindergarten. And we talked about the plan that we're starting with is with 4th grade. However, this is a plan that could help and benefit all of the students since our math data shows that that's a severe need. So those pieces are the new pieces that I needed to include. And looking at our SMART goals and online resources, one thing that I wanted to do today was to add in, we didn't get to add in the top portion, and I talked with Ms. Bryant this morning. I sent an email last night and asked about our school improvement plan, and she said that we don't have to do a traditional school improvement plan, but we're doing the NC STAR, and she was going to try to email that to me before she headed out to her meeting, and she wasn't able to send that. So we will add this to our next meeting agenda to look at our school goals so that we can add that to our SMART goal worksheet and flesh that out. And then I'll also add in the district goals to make sure what we're doing as a school aligns to our district goals. And when I looked at what the district has listed as their goal on their website, they're looking at safety, they're looking at literacy, and then there was another component that they were looking at that I'll add in. So the top portion, we'll add that in during our next full link to meeting. And then we'll also add in our NC STAR information as far as our school-wide goal. Any questions or additions or suggestions? And then if you think of something along the way or something that you want us to add to the agenda as far as the discussion, you can email that to me and I'll make sure that we discuss it at our next meeting so that it'll be a collaborative group effort. And then we'll plan on meeting next Friday to flesh out, I'll find out if my plan has been approved, and then I'll present the full-fledged action plan. And then I think we also need to flesh out on our SMART goal sheet. We put down as far as who would be responsible. It'll be all of us who are on the strategic PLC team. It'll be the classroom teachers, but I think we need to add in what specific pieces will we be responsible for so that everybody will know like their role and their part so that when we come back that we have all the pieces. So we'll flesh that out as well. And we have 2 people who aren't here today. In the next meeting, hopefully we'll have everybody here. And I'll share the video and I'll share the PowerPoint so they can kind of get caught up. And then we'll be ready to roll full-fledged at our next meeting, and we'll do the full hour on the 22nd. One last thing, I'm gonna go ahead and add, and I'll type this in so I'll include it on the form, but the online resource, and I won't put what the specific resource will be until we kind of talk about it.
Okay.
All right, no questions, that was That was it for today.
And I do know there are two classrooms right now, math classes that have the Reflex Math Grant.
Okay.
And that's Miss Peck's class as well as Miss McNeil's class, her math, her 5th grade math. But because neither one of them have been here, they haven't been using it. But I requested the login, their logins, so the kids can go back and start using that as well.
Okay.
So it'll be for it's the 5th grade math for Killian and McNeil's team, and 5th grade math for Peck and Verholla's team.
I know Peck and Verholla's classes haven't used extra math at all because they were using Reflex.
Right.
Okay.
So and when the lady met with me, she said she saw a huge growth because I got the charts of where.
When they
The
were
kids-
using it in the beginning?
Yep.
Can
And
you,
so
send that to me?
and she gave it to me in paper form, but
Okay.
I think I know she sent me an email last week with their login so the kids can start back
Okay.
using it. But I do have that information.
Okay, and if you wanna take a picture of it and send
Okay.
it to me, I'll add that to one of
Okay.
the online options, so we can look at that.
Okay.
Reflex math.
So now that I have their login, they can go back and because the teacher is able to assign.
I was gonna ask, are Freckle assignments being assigned for Peck's class?
No, they have not been.
Can somebody have her access to her classes so we can assign?
Yes, you can do that.
And I don't mind assigning, but.
And I can do that for the Reflex so they can continuously use that. Because the lady said, Peck's class definitely had
They were using
the
it.
large growth
Really?
over time with that.
That's good, okay, so we can do the assigned purple assignments for PEC, and then the assigned, reflex math.
Yep.
And I
Okay.
don't know a whole lot about Prodigy, but based off of watching with Prodigy, I don't see a whole lot of math to what they're doing.
Okay,
Is it like there's a game option and then there's math skills somewhere? Cause Aniston tells me that when she battles, she uses math skills, but they don't have to battle all the time. They can just go around like this little virtual world.
and then
And I
that,
think they spend a lot of time just going around the virtual world and finding each other.
and I wonder if the teachers are assigning
Mhm.
something,
Well,
or
yeah.
is it
Yeah.
kinda like get on Prodigy?
Right.
Right. And I've heard that more so than
I hear her say a lot, as long as we're battling, it's okay, but I don't think there's an assignment of any sort.
Okay,
I think it's just, let's go on and do math pack battle.
and when we talk about this again, and we set our plan for 4th grade, and we look at how we're spilling it out across the school, I think that needs to be something, a school-wide
Right.
decision, an option that you should be doing during your math stations. These are the choices, these are the options, even though if it's not a part of our official plan. If we look at, if the teachers can show us data, what kind of data are you pulling from Prodigy? Are you seeing where it's helping your students to grow? If it's being used just as a game and a time filler, that shouldn't be taking place in a
I
math
feel like
block
that's-
and math station, so I think that's something we need to look at. What was the other one? I know Khan Academy can be assigned, and I'm not sure if anybody's using that this year. I know Ashley Holzhauser used it a lot last year and spoke, about the growth that our students were making, but I haven't seen or heard anybody talking about Khan Academy so far this year. So that's good, we need to really look at that.
I've only heard about use of it on a parent level, like I know Patterson's children use it and my children use it, but I don't know about
In the
teachers
classroom.
of the classroom.
So we may have to say Prodigy is something
I
that
don't
they
like
can
Prodigy,
do
I just don't like it.
during their free time, not here,
Right. you
at
can play that
home,
home.
away from here, waiting on piano practice or something like
Right.
that, but not when they need to be doing something that's gonna help their
I think
math growth.
Khan Academy and Freckle are much more beneficial than Prodigy. Just off of seeing student
Okay.
growth in it.
and I'll make sure I get you the information.
Okay, thank you.
And I think the thing about what the lady from Reflex, her concern was 5th grade, they had only been assigned addition and subtraction. But there's multiplication and division on there, and none of those assignments have been assigned to 5th grade. It was only addition and subtraction.
Were they doing extra math and Reflex? Isn't that the
Yes,
two
it is
letters
the
on
same, and
skill?
it makes me wonder if the
And I think
teacher.
she was doing that because of the grant she had,
Right, yeah.
just to keep, but yeah, they were doing both.
And I wonder if the teacher started off doing it at the very beginning of the year
And kind of
to get their speed and their fluency and had a plan to move to multiplication and division. Now that's just
yeah.
a hypothesis, I'm just guessing, so I'm not
Right,
sure about
right.
that.
But I think right at this point, they should be focusing
Yes.
on multiplication and
Yes.
division, so I'll assign that and I'll talk to
Mhm.
Ms. Moses, and give her the login and all that stuff for that too, so.
Okay, well, that's good. And I want to see if there are some teachers using Prodigy and if they have any data that they could share with us on the benefits of Prodigy to see if anyone,
So could we
Steps up.
send like one of those Google forms that show like select which math app you're using? And so then that way you got the chart of which one,
Options.
and you can see which one they're actually doing, which one is being used the
Um,
most.
and then do we need to add another portion? Okay, so we'll ask them which apps that they're using
Mhm.
or which apps that they prefer to use. And then the second piece is,
How often are you assigning?
yes,
Or have you seen any
Yes.
growth? What's the growth?
yes.
How many kids have you seen grow and
Mm-hmm.
that type stuff? Because
Right.
it's one thing to use it, but
Because you might say you like it because Prodigy has cute little characters.
organic, right,
But
Kids
is it
enjoy
giving you
Right.
what you need as far as student
Right.
achievement?
right.
Okay, so I'll do that, and we should be able to have that data back for our next discussion too. The apps,
Mm-hmm.
how many assignments, and then what type of growth have you seen or have you noticed in your data?
And does the software data correlate with your
With your
Standards?
benchmarks and-
benchmarks or what your
That's good.
your
Yeah,
CFAs say, or
right.
is there a correlation there?
That's good, ladies. Correlate with your standards. Okay, that's good. Alright, but that's in break.
I know.
But that's good.
You have a 30
That's
minute
really
break?
good. That's really good. Okay, alright, thank you, thank you, thank you. Perfect timing.
Go ahead.